On today's podcast, episode 766, I have the honor and the pleasure of introducing you to a gentleman who I'm grateful to call a dear friend, somebody who coached me for many, many years, and as you're about to hear, had a very deep impact on my life and on my business at a time when I was really struggling. So to kind of set the stage for the podcast you're about to hear and the value you're about to receive, when I was starting my journey back in 2005, I was focused on just growing the business and generating revenue, closing deals. And one of the biggest mistakes I've made that I've been very open about sharing is that I abdicated my responsibility when it came to my finances, my bookkeeping. I ended up hiring somebody who I thought was supposed to be filing my taxes. And little did I know, come in 2009, I realized that my 2006, 7, and 8 taxes were not filed. And I certainly wasn't in a position to be able to file my 2009 taxes. And that found me in a deep hole with the IRS to the tune of about $126,000 that I owed them. And that kind of put me in a very, very tough spot, especially post-crash in 2008. And a good friend of mine, Armando, recommended me to this gentleman, Juan Carlos Bernal, who you're about to hear on the podcast. And he helped me and he coached me through this process. And now we have become really good friends, and we speak used to be on a weekly basis, now pretty much on a monthly basis. Juan was born in Cuba, raised in Miami. He's now based out of Monterrey, Mexico, and just as one of the best coaches I've ever been around. He's got a very unique style and blend to how he coaches people and how he coaches entrepreneurs. 35 years in business development, has a background in IT consulting, and is also a graduate of IPEC School for Coaches, which is Certified Professional Coaches. And he's also an Energy Leadership Index Master Practitioner. Now, you're probably thinking, ELIMP, what in the world is that, Alex? Well, you're about to find out how having an awareness about what level energy you are operating in can make all the difference in the world. He's actually used that Energy Leadership Index in his coaching style to really help achieve transformation in his clients, myself being one of them. The guy's just a great guy, somebody who I'm really excited to introduce you to. And before we get into that, guys, if you are looking to generate more cash flow, build more wealth, ultimately have more time freedom, I believe storage is the best asset class out there. So if you are interested in having a conversation about how storage can change your life, how you can add storage to what you're already doing, head over to storagewins.com. Just take a quick minute to fill out the information. And if I like what you have to say, we'll schedule a call and I can share with you what's going on the Storage Wins side of the business and how I can help you add storage to your portfolio. So with that being said, let's transition into episode 766 with my good friend, Juan Carlos Bernal.
You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
My friends, I have a special guest on the podcast today. I have a dear friend of mine, Juan Carlos Bernal, who is somebody who has had a very, very big and lasting impact on my life and in my business. And as you heard in the intro, he is somebody who I went to in kind of one of my darkest moments, when, as you heard, I was in debt to the IRS to the tune of $120,000+ way back in 2009, 2010, and somebody who I worked with for a number of years, and he kind of coached and guided me through that process, and somebody who I've just built a very close and meaningful relationship with, a man of faith, father, husband, and somebody that I go to on the regular. In fact, up until recently, we would speak every single week for, 10, 11, 12, 13 years, whatever it was. Yeah. And while we don't speak weekly, we still stay in contact on a monthly basis. And again, just somebody who I have a lot of respect and admiration for. And so with that being said, if that doesn't sell you on staying and listening to this podcast, I don't know what will, but just a man that's filled with a lot of wisdom and experience. And guys, on today's podcast, before I invite Juan into the conversation and introduce you to him, We're going to be talking about the 7 levels of energy leadership. And this is something that I got exposed to over a decade ago. And it's just something that it's a very powerful tool that can guide you and that can help you in your life and business. So with that being said, Juan Carlos, my man, it's a pleasure, brother, to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me here, Alex. This is really an opportunity. I wanted to be in the show, and thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate
absolutely.
it.
And guys, we'll also link before we get into the episode here, and it's going to be jam-packed with value. Juan actually was on the Flip Empire show a number of years ago with our dear friend Armando Cruz, and I actually had them both on, and I interviewed them, and we had a really cool conversation. So we'll link that up in the show notes. So Juan, my friend, with that being said, how did you get exposed and how did you learn about 7 levels of energy leadership? And then more importantly, what's the impact that that framework has had on your particular life and business?
Well, Alex, let me start off by saying that this is what got me into coaching. At one point, my wife was ill at the time and I needed more time off. So I was looking for a way of serving her at the same time, continue to have an income stream, and coaching came by. So I signed up for IPEC School of Coaching, where all this material comes from Bruce Schneider. And at that time, I thought it was just a business idea that I had. I was never thought that it was going to impact me the way it did in my own personal life. Going through what I was going through, I was exposed through not only becoming a coach and being trained as a coach, but figuring out that all this valuable information I was taking was impacting me more than I could ever imagine. And that's how I came in touch with the 7 levels of energy leadership. And that's what's driven my business and probably a lot of my thinking and the way I process things.
Yeah, I love it. Well, why don't we do this just to kind of give people an overview, and then we can start to dive into the different levels. Like, can you just kind of recap and explain like what exactly are the 7 levels of energy leadership?
Yeah, we first have to understand that we're energy. You know, Einstein came up with that. We're all about energy. And the 7 levels of energy, sometimes we hear energy and we get kind of go, oh, that's whoa out there, you know.
Yeah.
And if we think about it, consciousness is 7 levels of consciousness that impacts our daily lives. It's not just our work or our family life, our relationships. It's everything, because our thoughts are energy. And as we present ourselves and we show up in the world, depending on those energy levels, the results that we get from that are completely different. And we can approach the same situation in these 7 levels of energy. Mind you, there's not one right or wrong. There's not better or worse. They're just energy levels. And it's one of the things that we learn is that we show up in the world somehow, and we get results from that, us showing up. And depending on the energy level that you show up in, you're going to get different results. And that's the whole framework of the energy leadership concepts and energy leadership development system, is getting you to be so aware of what energy level you're coming out that you can transform your life just by the way you're thinking.
I absolutely love it. I remember distinctly back in, and this must have been 2010, 2011. I remember we were in a coaching session, like you were coaching me. And I remember, and I'm going to ask you to recap the different levels, but I remember you stopping the coaching call and asking me, you said, Alex, what level are you operating in right now? Right? Just the way I was communicating to you. And I believe I was, and I could be wrong here, you can correct me, but I believe I was operating in a victim mentality, right?
Definitely.
And yeah, I was going through something extremely challenging, and I hadn't gotten past that kind of grief stage. Right, where I was like, I was in my head about like, why me? How did this happen? And I remember after that coaching call, I just did a 180 shift. I said, you know, one of the things that's always resonated with me, Juan, is what Tony Robbins talks about. You know, you can view life as happening to you or for you. And at that stage, I was in that victim mentality, that particular level, which is a very low 1 or 2. You'll tell us. But I was viewing life as happening to me. And then after that call, I said, man, this is happening for me. And now looking back, it's like that shaped me in many ways. And I learned so many valuable lessons from that experience. So whatever you might be going through right now in your life or business, and by the way, Juan, obviously, you know this better than most, like life throws us curveballs, man. And we get knocked down, and like, I don't care how much you think somebody has made it because of what they post on social media or a conversation you have or how wealthy they are, the possessions they have. Like, we're not immune to having challenges. The rich, the poor, the middle class, like, none of us are immune to challenges, right? It's how you process those challenges and how you come out on the other side of it, how you choose to react to some of those challenges that life throws us. So with that being said, I want to kick it back to you. I don't know if you remember that coaching call, but talk to us about the different levels, and then in particular for those that might be in kind of like that victim mentality right now, depending on what they're going through.
And it's great that you said victim mentality. It's not that you're a victim. Understand, because sometimes people,
Yes.
We tend to be defensive when we're called victims. We don't want to be victims. These are victim thoughts. And it's framing it that way allows for you to say, yeah, we all have victim thoughts. We have, this is happening to me. Why is this happening to me? And that's the first level of energy. There's two energy segments. One is catabolic, which is, if you think cannibalism, it eats you up, it takes away your energy. And then there's anabolism, that the anabolic energy where it's positive. The first two level of energy, level 1 and level 2, are catabolic energies. At that point specifically that you were speaking about, you were coming out of all these things that happened to you. You know, this situation that you were in, you said, how could this happen to me? I was been working so hard, I've been doing this, and then all of a sudden this happens to me.
Yeah.
Then we can choose to think, victim, this is happening to me, and why is it happening to me? And I can't do anything about it, which is the main thought that comes into the victim level, is when we think we can't, because it leads to this paralysis, lethargy, where we don't take action. It just frees us up. And that's where you were coming from. You're coming from that level of, how did even this happen? You know, the next level, level 2, they work in pairs. You know, you were speaking about Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins calls it the crazy 8. We fall into victim. Why has this happened to me? Then we get really mad and we get angry and all that. And we get into conflict, which is level 2, and we fight, and we're fighting against time, or we're fighting against the situation, and we're fighting everybody, and it's your fault, and it's because you did. So we get tired of that, and then we fall into victim again. Then we do that crazy 8, right?
Yeah, it's almost like you spiral. Yeah,
it's a spiral. And I remember you going through that. You know, you were so angry because you had done all that, and then all of a sudden you fall back. Why did it happen to me? And I think when we had that conversation, the thought that what happened immediately out of there is that you bumped up to higher levels, where you started thinking, how could I use this in my favor? How could I really, I mean, you were pretty decisive when we first spoke about certain things you were going to do. And after that conversation, I think you took a different course of action, which ended up to be the best course of action at that point.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could have, and this podcast isn't about me, but just as an example, because you can replace my situation with whatever you might be going through. And it can be what's called a little T or a big T, right? A little trauma, right? That might seem little on the outside, but inside it's had a big effect on you. Or it could be a big trauma, whatever you might be going through. And you can apply this framework, this process. And one of the things, Juan, I remember being very helpful for me while I was going through that challenge was trying to be mindful of, okay, what level am I operating in right now, right? Not just in my actions, but in my thoughts. And we know that thoughts lead to actions, actions lead to results, et cetera, because they all have a ripple effect on each other. They're all connected. So how can we start to become more aware of what level we're in? And then most importantly, how do we ascend? How do we level up?
Yeah. And the process is, we have a thought, and that thought creates an emotion. You know, if you're in victim mode or victim thought, what's going to happen is you're going to fall into this apathy of there's nothing I can do. This is just happening to me. And then obviously the action is non-action, is lethargy, is just sitting around because there's nothing you could do. If you go to the victim mentality and you have these thoughts of it's your fault and you were the one that caused it, and we're in the conflict state, then what we're going to find is that we're going to have that reaction from the other side, right? So our emotions are going to be more of this anger, or anger is the word. I want to rephrase it, but the reality is we really get angry. A frustration leads to anger, and that's why we came out of victim mode, because we're frustrated, but we end up in level 2, and then we get really angry, and then that's what causes the conflicts. The results that we get is confrontation with everything that we have. To give you an example, I recently coached once again, a dear friend. I guess my clients become really good friends.
Yeah, same.
And he's running this business for 10 years. He had really bad experience with an ex partner, and this was holding him back, and he couldn't get out of it. He did this to me. It was coming from conflict, going back into victim. Why did I do? There was nothing I could do. And back, and he kept going back. What was behind it was he couldn't forgive. He couldn't let go. In 6 months that he turned that around, he raised his level of awareness and consciousness, energy level. His business has just like multiplied just because of he let go of something he was hanging on to. Yeah. Because the energy levels impacts us in the decisions we make. They have a direct impact on the results. That's why I say it's not good or bad. It's what results are you getting? Is it giving you good results? Because none of the energy levels are really good or bad. They're just, they are what they are. We need to move up, right? Yeah. The first level outside the catabolic energy is level 3, which is responsibility. We start taking responsibility for our own feelings, our own actions. We stop blaming people. And here we come and say, hey, I want to win. If you want to win, that's great. That's it. That's your thing. But I want to win. I really want to make the best out of what's coming out. And people are good. And we start getting rid of the blame game that we play that keeps us stuck in victim and conflict. Yeah. And as we move from that energy, it's impressive what happens, because all of a sudden we stop taking things personally. Things don't happen to me. Things just happen, right. And we stop saying she did this or he did this to me. It's, oh no, they did that. And this is how I'm responsible for reacting to that which they did. Yeah. So if you notice just one notch up, all of a sudden the thinking is completely different.
It makes a massive difference. And again, that's a situation and experience that I'll never forget, and I'm extremely grateful for. Although in the time, as you know, I had a very hard time viewing that as, hey, I'm going to choose to be grateful for this happening for me. And it was difficult in the time. But one of the things that I can tell you from experience is being aware of the different levels of energy leadership is the physiological shift in your body when you level up your awareness and your consciousness, and you level up, you understand that, hey, I'm going from victim, I've gone through anger and that stage, and then now I'm like, okay, I'm going to look internally and say, okay, what did I do to cause this? And more importantly, like, how am I meant to grow from this? What is it that I'm going to do moving forward? Man, there's something that happens physiologically where the energy shifts, and you can sense it, you can feel it. It's a real thing.
Yeah. I've heard people tell me, I feel like the foot has stepped off of me. Yes. Like they were being stumped, and all of a sudden there's freedom. Now you're free to make your own decisions. Now, from there, you go to level 4, and this is the compassion level. This is caring. This is about fixing. You want to fix the world. You want to fix everybody. And it's great because now you're thinking of others. You're not thinking of yourself. And in that state, it's a grateful state because you feel like you need to help people. Like, not have to, but it's more like this desire to help people and have people get benefit from anything that you do.
Yeah.
And imagine you start taking responsibility, then you start caring for others. Then level 5 comes in, and level 5 is reconciliation. We get rid of what's good, what's bad, what's black, and what's white, and we start thinking, what's the benefit here? What's the benefit that I'm going to get out of this? Wow, is that a ever life-changing question? When we see a situation, as you know, as we're recording this, my wife just came out of 45 days in intensive care. So for me, that was the question. It was, what is the opportunity here? And so many things come up instead of anger, instead of feeling like a victim, instead of feeling all these negative emotions. This is a great opportunity for me to show my love to her, being there present. How can I solve her issue? And all of a sudden, this joy comes up, because joy doesn't come from just having a wonderful time in the beach and doing great things. Joy is something that's with you, present. You decide if you want to be happy or not. And I think in the midst of all this, that's what carried me through, was this thought of how is this an opportunity? How is this an opportunity to have others help her? How is it an opportunity for me to be present for her? How all these opportunities opened up for me, and I go, wow, I'm really blessed. Yeah. And all of a sudden, there was this sensation of being a victim or anger. I couldn't even do it if I wanted to.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
It does, man. It makes perfect sense. And what I'm really hearing from this, and obviously you and I have had some conversations about what you've gone through in the last couple of months, and just so grateful that your wife is in a better place today, while she still has a little bit of a road up ahead of her. What I'm really taking from this is that, you know, we don't, and Juan, you can disagree with this, although I don't think you will, is one thing that I've learned as I've gotten older, or one thing I believe I should say, is that there's very little that we can control. Right. But we can control our thoughts, our actions, how we respond to something, how we choose to see something, right? Which is what we're talking about. And you, in this moment, despite a lot of uncertainty, you have obviously your wife, somebody you deeply care for and love, who's battling some serious health challenges. You chose to see this as an opportunity. You chose to see the light, the beauty, and amidst a very dark situation, right? And you could have easily gone to level 1 and 2 of victim and anger and all that. But we have, what I'm hoping people hear, and this is kind of what I'm taking from this, is that we have the power to decide and choose how we're going to view and accept something. And what you decide is going to determine a lot of what happens in the future. Now, Juan likely doesn't have any outcome over, you know, what ends up happening. I think that's God's decision, right? But like, the fact that you chose to see it like that, I think there's just so much value, power, positivity, the right kind of energy that we want in our life that comes from that.
Yeah. And the good point here is to mention is that the situation we don't deny the situation that's happening. We're not saying, hey, you're not having financial problems. You're not having marriage problems. You're not having problems with your kids. Yeah. You're not having problems with buying or selling. You know, we're not saying that that's just to say, like Tony Robbins says, there are no more weeds, no more weeds. No, these things are happening. It's how you choose to view them is what makes total difference.
Yeah, 100%.
And this is the impact that it has, because like you said, and I think you said it beautifully, we can only impact ourselves. Well, that's what we have control of. We don't have control over anything else. I think Stephen Covey does it very well in saying our circle of control and our circle of influence. We may have some influence on things, but control only on our thoughts and our actions. And the 7 levels of energy leadership, what it does is it gives you that framework that you can say, what level can I come out better on from here? Like in this case, for me was, you know, what's the opportunity? Come out of level 4, out of service, out of giving out of myself, out of just providing everything and not expecting anything in return. And that's what satisfied me. That's what really got me out of this whole situation. Yeah. No, to keep on going, level 6 is the synthesis, and this is connection. This is that synergy we feel with people. This is you and I are the same. We are one. And this connection allows us to see people in a different light. Like we're so connected with people, we're connected with our environment, we're connected with everything around us. And all of a sudden we start caring more and we start giving more of ourselves, and we're not so worried about everything. We know that people can handle their stuff, so we're not constantly trying to fix people, but we connect with them in a better way. And moving from there, we go into the 7th level, which is non-judgment. There's no judgment whatsoever. And here is that state where we feel that we're in the zone. We're just, imagine if you're cooking and you're making this delicious meal, and you're pouring in the spices and all the ingredients and all this, and time just goes by because you're in creation mode. And that's level 7. So as you can see, each one of the levels has different purposes. So the higher our level of energy, the better we can use the 7 levels of energy to produce the results that we're looking for.
Yeah, no, man, I love it. I can easily see, and I think a lot of people that are listening to this they can wrap their head around why understanding and having awareness of what energy level they might be operating in at any given time, and how important it is to start to ascend to the different levels, how that can impact their life. And if that impacts your life, it's going to impact every area of your life, not just financial and business, but health, relationally. Like this literally applies to every aspect of our life. So Juan, obviously in a 30-minute or so podcast, there's only so much we can do to go deep on the 7 levels of energy leadership. And I think you did an amazing job of just laying out the framework of what the different levels are and providing examples in each, if not most cases. I know that you have one of the things that you told me before the show is that you want to offer to the audience a pretty cool opportunity for them to kind of go through this assessment, the ELI, which is the Energy Leadership Index assessment. And you got kind of a pretty cool offer for people that want to expose themselves to this, which again is really, really powerful, something that I went through. In fact, you sent me an email a couple of weeks ago and you said, Alex, I'm paraphrasing, but you said, check out, I came across your energy, leadership index assessment. Check it out this was what, over 10 years ago?
10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. 10 years ago. And I think you made a comment about that how much I've grown throughout the years. And so that was it was humbling, and it was cool to see, this can be a snapshot for you today, which can give you a lot of valuable intel today. But it's also cool to be able to grow, learn, experience, mature in life, and then come back and visit and see. We're always focused on the gap instead of the gain, right? And so for me, it was really cool to have gone through that. But yeah, can you talk a little bit about this ELI assessment?
Leadership development, the beginning of the framework, because it's a snapshot exactly of where you're at. You had a question? I'm sorry.
No, Juan, I was just going to say, and by the way, I can have my team cut this out, but I think it was on my end. It froze for a second. Can you hear me?
Okay. All right.
Okay. So, I'm gonna pick it right back up in 3, 2, 1. Juan, can you just talk a little bit about the ELI, the Energy Leadership Index assessment, what it is and how people can go through it?
Sounds great. Listen, the Energy Leadership Index is the starting point of the framework because it's a snapshot, just like you said, of where you're at right now. So you could see how you're showing up, how the world is viewing you, how you're viewing yourself. And that way you can start making decisions. You can plan to say, I need to change, or I'm doing great in this area. And you can, like you said, this is not just for work or for life, or this is you. This is your person and it's not whether you're doing, you've got great skills or capacity or personality. This is a more of the personal aspect of your attitude. How is it that you're showing up in the world? And the thing is that you don't have to go to college to change that, because like you said before, you're in control of your thoughts. You start thinking differently and you know where you're thinking things that are bringing you the wrong results, then it's easy for you to change. Yeah. So the ELI assessment, what it does is gives you that picture. And what it consists of is you take a 20-minute evaluation, you answer a few questions, and then you have a debrief, a 1-hour debrief with a coach, an ELI-MP coach, which I'm obviously certified to do that. Been doing it now for a number of years, since 2008, and the results have always been incredible, that what people get out of it. What I want to do for the listeners of the Flip Empire is provide you an 80% discount right off of the top. That's the price that's on my page, so you'll see that the price, and you'll get 80% off by going to juancarlosbernal.com/flipempire, and on the coupon code, type in Alex Pardo as one word, and you'll immediately get 80% discount. You won't regret it. You'll have this opportunity to work with and make a plan, because it's not only the evaluation, it's the 1-hour debrief that will explain exactly why you are where you're at in each one of the energy levels.
Wow, man, first off, thank you. As somebody who has gone through this, as somebody who's worked with you, and again, like I've mentioned several times, it's had a profound impact on my life and business. I can't encourage people enough. Thank you for the gift of the 80% off for anybody who chooses to take advantage of that. So again, just to repeat it, guys, www.juancarlosbernal, that's JUANCARLOS, and then Bernal is BERNAL.com/Flip Empire. Just don't forget to put my name, Alex Pardo, in the coupon code section, discount code section for that 80%, and go through it, because it can be very, very revealing for you, and it can just be a very powerful tool just to raise your awareness, so that you understand what level you're in, and more importantly, how you can, again, continue to rise up in the 7 levels of energy leadership. So, Juan, brother, man, my heart goes out to you, man, for just an immense amount of gratitude for, number one, the friendship, for our relationship, which I really value, for the coaching that you've given me throughout the years, for man, just the counsel, the advice, the support, just everything that you've done for me throughout the years, man, and hopefully I've had a little bit of an impact on your life as well. But I thank you for coming on here and sharing your wisdom. Again, it's in a short episode, there's only so much we can cover, but I think it's not surprising to me that in just half an hour, you were able to deliver so much value. So I know people are really going to get a lot out of this show. So thank you.
Thank you, Alex, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And you know how much I appreciate you. I think it goes both ways. You've helped me so much, and we, throughout the years, have participated in these deep conversations that have really helped me anyway, in our journeys.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Listen, make sure that you are subscribed to the Flip Empire show, so that every single Monday morning you're notified when new episodes get released. Again, I'm so grateful for having this platform, because I get to connect with people like Juan, and even though we've had a long relationship, like I still learned some things on this episode, and hopefully you did as well. So tag us on social media. We'll include the links in the show notes. Let us know if we can help or support you or guide you. And it's my aim that this particular podcast just is on repeat. It's in your rotation. And you can kind of bring me along in your journey, so that hopefully this podcast helps you in some way in your life and business. So guys, have an awesome day. Again, juancarlosbernal.com/Flip Empire. Use the coupon code Alex Pardo for 80% off to go through the assessment, and then understand what the results of this assessment are. So have an incredible day, Juan. I will talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.